Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, on 4K from Arrow Video. Today, I'm going to be reviewing this, as well as comparing it to the DVD from Anchor Bay, the VHS from Star Maker, which became Anchor Bay, and the other VHS from Anchor Bay. Now, I think there is even a couple other VHS releases. There's a Blu-ray release, there's a couple other stuff, but these are the ones that I have in the collection that I'm going to be comparing the new 4K Arrow release to. So stick around. Welcome back to the Ectoviolence channel. My name is Alec. This is Darwin. Today we're talking Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, specifically the new Arrow 4K release, as well as a couple of the other releases I have in my collection. Now, if you've been watching this channel at all, you will know that I'm a huge Elvira fan, just looking behind me in the background. There's an Elvira standee against the wall. There's a little Elvira hand-picked horror on cassette. There's another Elvira Missile to the Moon VHS, and 2 episodes of Elvira's Movie Macabre on DVD. Since I just started getting 4K movies and stuff this year, I decided, you know what, let's go for it. Let's get Elvira. And I will say I'm not disappointed. I do love the artwork they created for this. I will say, since the same artwork was underneath this originally, and they have it reversible, I did switch it up to the original poster artwork. Also, it comes with a little book about Elvira on the inside, which is pretty awesome. I don't think they did any deluxe versions of this, I'm not entirely sure, but it's pretty fascinating. There's lots of different write-ups by different people and lots of photos, so we love to see that. We love physical stuff like this. It was either Jay or Matt from the Purple Stuff podcast that kind of described this as a Pee-wee's Adventure type movie. Perfectly made sense, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds so right. I think they were both in Groundlings together. They were very close friends, so it checks out that stylistically they'd be similar. And I do love both, by the way. So let's talk about these special features and stuff, right? If we're just reading off the back, brand new 4K restoration by Arrow Films. 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray presentation in Dolby Vision HDR10 compatible. Original uncompressed stereo 2.0 audio. Introduction to the film by director James Signorelli, which I did watch, and it was kind of ridiculous, I guess. The guy's just old. I don't know if he's worked in a while or what he's doing lately, but he could not get this intro down, so there's a bunch of special features from 2017, some commentaries and stuff like that. Doesn't seem like there's a crazy amount of like new special features or anything, but there is a good amount of special features that were included in other stuff, it seems. So, and when I say that, I think mean the 2017 Blu-ray. And then there's some of these say they're from 2018, so yeah, I don't know. Interesting. I don't know, I had fun with some of those special features though. They're good stuff to check out. I like special features. Now, before we get into this side-by-side comparison, I'm going to briefly talk about all these other previous releases that I have at least. So the DVD, which is the highest quality format I owned until I just got the 4K, is an Anchor Bay release. I'm trying to figure out what year this came out. 2001, it seems like. I do appreciate they got the original poster artwork as a slip in there. And actually, if you take it out, it opens up and has some more details, another little write-up, as well as the chapter selection. We love that stuff. I miss getting paper stuff in actual DVDs. That's why when I buy used stuff, I'm always stoked. And I definitely bought this used. But this, as far as special features, just featured the theatrical trailer, teaser trailer, and Cassandra Peterson bio. And then we've got the 1999 Anchor Bay VHS release. And this one is my go-to for watching it on VHS because it's the best quality. So this is the VHS that's done in LP, and I believe this is the one that's done in EP. So there's a lot less tape, the movie's a lot lower quality, and this one is done by Star Maker. And Star Maker is interesting. I think this is the 1990 release, if I'm not mistaken. What's interesting about that is Star Maker became Anchor Bay, or they were absorbed into what eventually became Anchor Bay anyway. And then both of them have the RNG video logo on the back as well, which I find very interesting. Take a look at that. So anyway, these are the 4 we're going to take a look at. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we are looking at the 4 different versions of Elvira that I own. Top left, you're going to see the VHS done by Star Maker. This is the one that's done in not LP mode. EP or SP mode, sorry. The top right VHS is the one by Anchor Bay, who Star Maker was part of the formation of. and that one was done in LP mode. And then, of course, DVD bottom left, Anchor Bay, and the 4K by Arrow on the bottom right. Now, obviously, what's very striking about the 4K right off the bat, which is the main thing we're reviewing today, is the coloring is a little bluish. And it's like that throughout. And as any time I scan in a 4K, it looks a little darker than the rest of these do. And I think that's just because, 4K TVs brighten it up a little bit, because it looked so good on my 4K TV. And both this and the DVD were taken out of my 4K player, for the scan here. So another interesting note, just as we get started here, you'll notice in the framing, the VHS actually has more to show you, more frame there. And I think that's really interesting, mostly because most of the time it's the opposite of that. Now, it's not always the opposite of that. And you find that with some random VHS tapes sometimes. You're actually, I don't know if it's called open matte. I can't remember, but it's something to do with matting. But either way, let's skip through and skim through some of this stuff. So I will say I think the DVD does look excellent. Like, not just the color, but the quality. It looks great. And I had this experience watching it on my TV too. And I didn't watch the whole movie, I just watched it for these specific clips that I recorded. But for the 4K, I watched the whole movie for the first time in a little while. Holds up, love it. Now the coloring is a little more washed out in the Star Maker VHS than the Anchor Bay one. Obvious reasons there. And it looks better in the DVD, and then the color, for me, I do think looks best on the 4K. Now in this version that we're looking at, it's coming straight out of my 4K player. I'm capturing it. It's not hitting an actual 4K TV with HDR, you know what I mean? And then it's getting compressed. You're looking at, obviously, a smaller version. So, just there's things to consider when looking at this comparison. Or any, for that matter. This is a fun little shot, too. I really enjoy how this movie looks. Like 1987, it's captured pretty well here. I love this sort of like, fantasy she's having here with this set here. And the colors are a great thing here. You could tell again just how washed out it is and how I think the color just improves upon each of these releases. Now, if I had the Blu-ray, I obviously would have included that and just done probably the later VHS release. But I didn't have it, so here we are. Yeah, you'll also notice the Star Maker VHS says hi-fi a lot. It's because the VCR just kept having to adjust because the tape was not in great condition, not great quality to begin with, but... So just looking at the logo here, obviously there's various different versions of it. I don't have to point out all the little differences here, but again, I wish I had the Blu-ray to compare it, because I can't really say, hey, if you have the Blu-ray, you can just stick with that, or, man, you need to get this 4K. I think the 4K looked great, and I'm a huge fan of Elvira. And as far as my 4K collection goes, I either upgrade from DVD straight to 4K, or I get the Blu-ray, depending on the cost and how much I like the movie. And sometimes I don't even feel like upgrading to either. DVD is enough for some stuff, but it's Elvira. I do think the bluish hues do wonders for, how her skin tone should look. And that probably is why I feel like they changed it up for this one. They did a new scan, I think, for this movie, and I don't know if they did color adjustments after that. Because all the other ones look like the color palette is pretty similar, Like the VHS are obviously washed out more to various degrees with different quality, but the color looks vastly different in the 4K. If this scene isn't a total vibe, I don't know what is. Alright, it's not my fault for including scenes like this in this comparison, is it? They put these scenes in the movie. I think it's more on them here than it is on me. Fun stuff, though. Nothing revolutionary here. I do think the quality in the 4K is excellent. Like I know our local movie theater, one of them, not even going to name them, but they do sometimes play movies from 4K discs. So, again, I will point out that the 4K looks darker in this comparison, but if you're looking at it on a 4K TV, it does not look that dark. And I didn't want to brighten it because I don't want to fuck with it at all. You know what I mean? I don't want to illegitimize the recording that I've done. I could theoretically mess with it and try to get it as close looks on my TV as I could. These colors here coming up on the house, though, are a good thing I want to talk about. They get this view of the house, right? So I want you to take a good look at the color of the center there. You know, with the little porch there, or I guess the fake porch even. The middle part of the house there is red, right? Or at least it's red on the top 2 frames. The bottom left frame even. The bottom right, it's leaning a little more magenta for the 4K. Now let's look at the top right corner of the house. The top left VHS and the top right VHS, it's blue. Bottom left, it's green. Bottom right, it's teal. Now the left side, very purple. Different shades of purple, let's just say. Same with the green, you know what I mean? The DVD's green is the most saturated, I think. And again, I'll defend this DVD to the death too, because I think it looks great. Again, you look at this, you can tell on the VHS where some of the light stuff gets more washed out. Like on her neck there, it just kind of like is pure white. There's not a lot of detail there. It happens with everything, not just skin. See what I mean? Like, how am I supposed to avoid scenes like this? Can't do it. You just can't do it. It is one of those moments where I'm like, the DVD on the 4K player, on a 4K TV, I'm sure upscaled a little bit, you know, it looked great. Watching it on the actual TV, the differences are not as noticeable. Now, you might think that's obvious, but when you put these things side by side, they look so drastically different that it's like, how the hell did I not notice this? I will say, damn, look at that. DVD and 4K both look great. I like the color scheme on both of those ones. We got Elvira up on the stake, classic. Again, the fire is very interesting because you do want it to be a little white, like it is in the 4K almost, as opposed to purely yellow like the DVD. Now, when we look at these shots, it's like, all right, 4K is 1. The ending of this movie is definitely where the 4K upgrade looks the best, just because the colors get so awesome. It's a lightning shot. Like, look at that. It's fascinating. Look at that. Now, the 4K is looking brighter than the DVD. Makes me feel like they did do some manual adjustments, you know what I mean, and try to make it look as good as they could. Oh, yeah, we gotta check this out. This is what I'm talking about. This scene on a 4K TV, the HDR, blows it out of the water. Just look at the VHS on the top left. It's completely lost it. And then you look down at the DVD and you're like, holy shit, that's incredible. And then I look over to the 4K and I'm just like, that's where it's at. Interesting here too. Look at the color of the smoke. Now the DVD looks more blue. Again, man, look at that 4K. Just the level of detail in there's insane. It's actually just incredible looking at these side by sides. I do them because they're so fun to me. I hope everybody else enjoys them as well, but damn. I love the deep purple in the 4K there. I like purples that are a little more blue and less pink. Because if it's like a magenta, I'd rather just go full pink. My thoughts on colors, everyone. Oh yeah. This is one hell of a movie. And we're ending it with this scene. And you know what? Don't blame me. They made this a movie. They put this scene in here. Yeah, look at the level of detail in just her eyes. Even just from VHS to DVD to 4K. Like, it's wild, man. And another classic, iconic scene. The tassel scene. We got to do a frame-by-frame, side-by-side comparison here for you guys. This is very gratuitous, isn't it? But the movie's gratuitous, right? Anyway, that's about all I have to say about Elvira. Oh, damn, look at those shots. Now that is wild. So I'd say there's definitely some lightning going on. We got to get the actual colors there, but way more green on even the DVD. Okay, come on. That just makes me laugh. It's ridiculous, man. She's a fucking legend. Well, that's it. That's all I've got to say about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark on 4K from Arrow Video. Let me know what you guys think of the side-by-side in comparison. And if you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.